Star Trek, at its heart, is fundamentally optimistic, a story about what the human race could be at its best. But at the same time, it isn't naive, and its stories of humanity's potential feature plenty of darker and less noble aspects of life. Characters are forced to make moral compromises, to do terrible things for the right reasons, and sometimes horrible things simply happen, as freak accidents or part of natural processes humanity is yet to understand. For all of its optimism, Star Trek has plenty of dark moments, and in this video, we'll be taking a look at 6 of the darkest. Welcome to Trek Central, I'm your host, Captain Jack. If you want to keep up to date on the latest Star Trek news, lore, and more, then hit that subscribe button for more stories from the final frontier. Click the links in the description to join our Discord server or find us on social media. We're enjoying making these Star Trek videos, and we hope you're enjoying watching them. If you want to support their development, check out our Patreon via the link below. We've got some great rewards at the moment, and hopefully you appreciate them. Any support is greatly appreciated. If you're interested in supporting the channel, you can also click the join button to receive some extra perks and chat with the Trek Central crew. And while you're watching, tell me your darkest Star Trek moment in the comments below. Okay, engage. Our first dark moment comes from the Star Trek Enterprise episode, Damage. It's episode 19 of season 3. In this episode, the NX-01 is left critically damaged after a battle with the Xindi. Its warp coils, in particular, are unsalvageable, stranding the Enterprise in the Delphic Expanse. At the same time, the Xindi's planet-destroying superweapon is en route to Earth, tasked with carrying out a genocide of the human race. Only Enterprise stands a chance of stopping it, but without warp coils, they stand no chance of catching up. Over the course of the episode, however, the Enterprise encounters a passing Illyrian vessel, and Captain Archer attempts to barter for their warp coil, offering the Illyrians food, supplies, and Trillium-D in exchange. But the Illyrians refuse. Without warp capability, it would be a 3-year journey home for them, and they don't have the supplies to make such a trip. This episode forces Archer to make a grim choice. He sends an away team to the Illyrian ship to steal their warp coil, so the Enterprise can make it home in time. Archer has enough Trillium-D, food, and supplies beamed over to last the Illyrians for their 3-year journey, but he still leaves them marooned in order to save his own people. This is a move that Archer is openly uncomfortable with, but it seems he has no alternative to do.
I'm about to step over a line. Line I thought I would never cross. And given the nature of our mission, it probably won't be the last.
This is a contender for one of the most morally questionable decisions ever made by a Star Trek captain, and is one of the darkest moments in the franchise. It's rare for Star Trek to put its heroes in such of a moral dilemma, that they kind of end up hijacking a civilian ship, stripping it of parts, and leaving it marooned. It's kind of Admiral Kane style for those who watch Battlestar Galactica. It's even more impressive that Star Trek was able to make this decision somewhat sympathetic. After all, Archer had no other choice. It's a dark plotline, for sure, but it's one of the most compelling subplots in all of Star Trek Enterprise.
You're stranding us 3 years from home. Why are you doing this?
Because I have no choice.
Now, within Star Trek, few episodes are as dark as those set within the Mirror Universe. To that point, we could probably throw a whole video of darker moments just on the Mirror Universe. For this video, however, we've chosen just one, from the Star Trek Discovery episode Vaulting Ambition, which is episode 12 of season 1. In the previous episode, Michael Burnham learned that, in the Terran Empire, Kelpiens were kept as slaves, denied even a name of any sense of personhood. This episode turns that up to 11, by revealing that the Terrans also butchered Kelpiens for meat. Yep, a little bit creepy. In an earlier scene, Empress Georgiou has Burnham pick a Kelpien out of a lineup of 3, not knowing what she's looking for or why she's making the selection. Burnham picks one at random. Late in that episode, the purpose of the selection is revealed. Burnham was choosing which Kelpien would be slaughtered and cooked for a royal feast. The feast scene itself captures the horror of this relatively perfectly, as Burnham finds that only after she's already eaten some, and she has to keep eating in order to maintain her cover. It's deeply disturbing in many ways, especially given Burnham's close relationship with the Kelpien Saru, and it's an effective way of demonstrating the pure evil of the Terran Empire. The scene is extremely dark, but it also serves a key narrative purpose. Most Mirror Universe stories present the Terran Empire as a caricature. The evil of the Terrans is cartoonish and often hard to believe, and the Terrans themselves have exaggerated personalities that complete the effect. But Star Trek Discovery gave us more of a serious version of the Terran Empire, one that makes the over-the-top evil and mirror universe uncomfortably real. This scene amplifies that, and it sets the viewer expectations for the rest of Discovery's mirror arc. Eating the flesh of a sentient being is extraordinarily evil, but in a gruesome, sadistic, yet real and believable way. It makes the Terran Empire more believable, and it does so in a dark and yet deeply uncomfortable way. Our next dark moment comes from the original series, episode 15 of season 3, Let That Be Your Last Battlefield. This episode is somewhat infamous as the original series' racism allegory episode, wherein the USS Enterprise discovers two members of a species divided by extreme racism. One, Commissioner Beale, is an agent of his homeworld's government, sent to capture a fugitive and insurgent leader named Lokai. Their species has a stark white skin on one side of their bodies, and pitch black skin on the other, and they're racist to one another based on which side of the two colours are on. Lokai's race is a second class on Sharon, the homeworld, and committed to a bitter rebellion against their oppressors, while Beale's people believe themselves superior and are sadistic in keeping the others downtrodden. The two hate one another bitterly, and the Enterprise crew, who come from a federation where racism no longer exists, struggles to understand their perspectives. At the end of the episode, the Enterprise arrives at Sharon, only to find the planet lifeless. The people there completely destroyed one another, leaving Beale and Lokai the last of their kind. But even then, the two don't stop fighting. Instead, they go at it again, with greater ferocity, fighting through the halls of Enterprise and all the way down to Sharon's surface. The Enterprise crew could do nothing to stop them, leaving them to muse on how, in the end, the two men had nothing left but their hatred.
All that matters to them is their hate.
Do you suppose that's all they ever had, sir?
No. But that's all they have left.
While the last scene is rather unsubtle in its messaging, it's still a pretty dark moment, as Captain Kirk ruefully observes. The people on Sharon could have worked to move past their hatred, but they didn't, and as a result, they were left with nothing else. It's a somber warning, and one of the original series' best endings. Next up, we have a scene from episode 25 of Star Trek The Next Generation's first season, Conspiracy. This is a surprisingly graphic episode in which the Enterprise crew investigates the spread of parasites throughout Starfleet Command. Parasites that can control their hosts, and which seem to be plotting a takeover of the Federation. At the climax of the episode, Captain Picard and Commander Riker get into a fight with a number of high-ranking Starfleet personnel, all under the parasite's control. This culminates in them repeatedly shooting the body of Lieutenant Commander Remick, blowing off his head and tearing his chest open. The Queen Parasite then emerges through a hole in his chest, and Picard and Riker shoot it some more, killing it and ending the infestation, as all the other parasites die off once the Queen is destroyed. This scene is uncharacteristically gruesome for Star Trek, and is very dark too. The parasites themselves are disturbing, but the way Picard and Riker mutilate Remick's corpse is pretty dark as well. Picard even lampshades how uncharacteristically brutal the whole thing is for Starfleet, musing in his log about how, despite having been taught to respect all life, he was given no choice but to destroy it on this occasion. Our next dark moment is from Star Trek Deep Space Nine, episode 13 of season 5, For the Uniform. This might be one of my favourite episodes of Deep Space Nine. In this episode, the Maquis, under the leadership of Michael Eddington, begin deploying biogenic weapons against Cardassian colonies in the demilitarized zone, rendering them uninhabitable to Cardassian life. In response, Captain Sisko goes out in the Defiant to stop Eddington, but is repeatedly thwarted in his efforts to capture the Maquis leader. Frustrated, Sisko ultimately decides that the only option is to respond to the Maquis in kind, to deploy biogenic weapons of his own against their colonies. Sisko starts with the first colony, giving the Maquis colonists there an hour to evacuate before he renders the planet uninhabitable to human life. Now, they do believe he's bluffing, and Eddington openly accuses him as such, but Sisko proves him wrong. The Defiant poisons the biosphere of the colony, forcing the Maquis to abandon the planet.
Commander, I said launch torpedoes.
When Eddington protests, Sisko threatens to do the same to every colony in the DMZ, only backing down when Eddington surrenders, turns himself in, and hands over the Maquis' biogenic weapons. In the end, the Cardassian colonists the Maquis rendered homeless are relocated to this new colony. The scene is a dark moment in a show full of dark moments, and it is an excellent demonstration of how far Captain Sisko was willing to go to accomplish his mission. Sure, he's doing its own response to the Marquis doing the same thing, but it's still brutal and very unlike of Starfleet. If Eddington wasn't so deeply unlikable, it might have given viewers second thoughts about Sisko and his motivations, or about the Federation as a whole, which is what Deep Space Nine does best. Our last dark moment is also from Star Trek Deep Space Nine, from Season 6, Episode 6, Sacrifice of the Angels. This is a legendary episode in its own right, but for the purpose of this video, we're going to focus on one of the quieter scenes. It's a conversation between Weyoun and Gul Dukat. In this scene, Weyoun of the Dominion discusses the forthcoming Dominion occupation of the Alpha Quadrant, and he expresses his opinion that the Dominion will have to wipe out the population of Earth in order to prevent resistance against their rule. Dukat objects, but not out of concern for humanity.
A true victory is to make your enemies see they were wrong to oppose you in the first place. To force them to acknowledge your greatness.
Dukat then goes on to rant about how ungrateful the Bajorans were to have him as their governor during the Cardassian occupation of Bajor. He claims to have cared for them as his own children, only to be reviled by them as a tyrant and a butcher. It gets to the point that even Weyoun realizes how insane Dukat is, and he can't help but laugh. This scene is dark for a few reasons, which work together to add character and a sense of threat to the antagonist of Deep Space Nine. The casual way in which Weyoun discusses exterminating the human race is dark on its own, and hints of the true horror of what the Dominion is like in their largely unseen Gamma Quadrant territories. If wiping an occupied planet is something they are willing to consider casually, then the horrors it suggests that the Dominion has done at its worst are almost unimaginable. What adds an extra layer of darkness to this scene is Dukat's response. While Weyoun gives us a glimpse of the unfeeling barbarity of the Dominion, Dukat shows us the totalitarian, all-controlling mindset of the Cardassian imperialists, and the delusion behind their colonial projections. Dukat's rhetoric echoes real-world colonial talking points about civilizing missions, which is made all the darker given that we know what horrors went on Bajor under Dukat. What makes this speech truly terrifying is the fact that Dukat genuinely believes his own nonsense. He's a committed ideologue, and he is all the more dangerous for it. In just a few lines, this scene gives us loads of insight into the antagonists of Deep Space Nine and their atrocities, and it also gives us a chilling display of the inhumanity and lack of empathy that unite them. While Weyoun and Dukat may disagree on methods, neither of them thinks of people they conquer as people, only as potential threats to neutralize or as potential worshippers to convert. This dehumanization of an entire planet's population is what makes their atrocities possible, and the casual way in which it's done makes the scene just not dark, but chilling. So that's our look at 6 of Star Trek's darkest moments. If you want to keep up to date on all the latest Star Trek news, lore and more, then make sure to hit that subscribe button to never miss a video from the team here at Trek Central. You can also follow us on social media or join our community Discord server. Don't forget, you can also support us on Patreon, thanks to those on screen who've already supported us already. If you want to check out more of our Patreon details, the link's down below, and we greatly appreciate your support. For now, I've been Captain Jack, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Live long and prosper, my friends. Goodbye.